There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. And damn, what a hell of a view. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight, don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase, so catch me if I fall. Praying that this night's gonna last. You got it all on tap, I'm loving your vibe, always have your back. We like all the same tracks, listen all night in the sheets all black. Said I'm falling fast, don't remember life before you, that's facts. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight, don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase, so catch me if I fall. There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. And damn, what a hell of a view. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight, don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase, so catch me if I fall. Praying that this night's gonna last. You got it all on tap, I'm loving your vibe, always have your back. We like all the same tracks, listen all night in the sheets all black. Said I'm falling fast, don't remember life before you, that's facts. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight, don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase, so catch me if I fall. There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. A first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight.
from France-Denmark to Forest Green Alfchurch in the FA Cup. That's on Sports Extra right now, so that is your footballing choice, and what a contrast it is. And also, we'll be updating you during the course of the afternoon and evening on the autumn internationals involving Wales and England. England kick off at 5:30 UK time at Twickenham against South Africa, but Wales-Australia well underway. Gareth Lewis?
Yeah, Wales need to be careful because Australia, one threatening attack and they've scored. Folau Fainga, their hooker, crashing over after a catch and drive. 20 points to 13 Wales lead. This will not ease the pressure, the nerves that Wayne Pivac, the under pressure Wales coach, will be feeling.
Thank you, Gareth. So here in Qatar, it is France against Denmark for the second consecutive World Cup, and also for the third time this year. And Denmark are unbeaten in those matches. In fact, they've won both meetings this year in June and September in their Nations League group. So France, Alan Shearer, should be all too aware of the threat that Denmark can pose.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the Nation League games not so long ago, they were victorious against them in both games. So if that doesn't give them confidence, nothing will. But I think you'll see a different mentality from the French this evening. It's a different competition. It's the biggest one of the lot. They've had a really good start, France, and I expect them to start this game well as well.
Alan Shearer, England captain, is with us for the commentary on 5 Live tonight. And the French team this evening, 3 changes from their first match, the 4-1 win against Australia. Lloris, the captain, in goal. At the back, Koundé at right back. Varane makes his first appearance of the tournament alongside Upamecano, and Theo Hernandez takes over from his injured brother Lucas on the left side of defence. Tchouaméni and Rabiot in the centre of midfield, as Julien Laurent was discussing a few minutes ago. And then Dembele, Griezmann, Mbappe and Olivier Giroud. And the Danish side tonight, 4 changes for them. As I mentioned, Kjær is on the bench tonight, so Schmeichel, the captain, in goal. Joachim Andersen of Crystal Palace, Andreas Christensen of Barcelona, and Victor Nelson of Galatasaray are the 3 central defenders. Christensen of Leeds on the right, Mailer on the left, Højbjerg of Tottenham and Eriksson of Manchester United in the middle, and then Lindstrom on the right, Damsgaard of Brentford on the left, and Andreas Cornelius up front. The countdown is over, the match begins. It is France against Denmark, 5 Live and BBC Sounds. And the ball is immediately out of play for a throw-in to Denmark over on the far side of the field. That is the Danish right. They're playing from right to left as we look in this first half, from high up on the dugout side of the ground. And here's Mæhle, the left wing back. Denmark tonight, white shirts, red shorts and white socks. And remember, Denmark drew their first match 0-0 against Tunisia, one of the, as we discussed last night, 5 0-0 draws that there have been so far at this World Cup. But the situation in the group now, after Australia's win earlier in the first match of the day, Australia now in second place in the group. So France with 3 points, Australia with 3 points, Denmark with 1, and Tunisia with 1, and seemingly on the brink of being knocked out. Their final match is against the world champions France, so good luck with that, Tunisia. But Denmark coming through the middle, good possession from them in the early stages. Ball played out towards the left-hand side here, but across comes Dembele, and France, in the very dark blue shirts that they're wearing at this World Cup, try to come forward, white shorts, red socks, but the pass was overhit from Koundé at right back, and it's out of play for a throw-in to Denmark. Just about halfway inside the French half. Koundé, who is playing at right back, preferred to Pavard. Even though he scored, he also committed the mistake that led to the Australian goal. And it is Denmark with it on the right-hand side. Here's Christensen of Leeds, wins a throw-in off Theo Hernandez and takes it back towards the halfway line. And then it comes all the way back to Christensen in the middle of the back 3. And then to the left, Victor Nelson, who's come into the back line, blonde-haired figure. As I say, Galatasaray defender. He plays it forward to Mæhle, and then Mæhle goes all the way back to Schmeichel, away in the goal to our right.
Just looking at the position of Griezmann in that French midfielder, he's going to have to do, I think, a little bit extra tonight alongside Tchouaméni and Rabiot in that midfield. Otherwise, France might find themselves outnumbered at times.
It is Denmark still in possession. It's a really good confident start from Denmark, ranked number 10 in the world. Certainly one of the best European sides around. They've been excellent under Kasper Hjulmand, semi-finalists, of course, at the Euros last year. Ball played through the middle, and that's a foul. And it is a free kick for the challenge on Lindstrom. So a free kick in a good position, Alan.
Yeah, I mean, we've only had 2.5 minutes gone, John, but it's all been Denmark. They're just playing themselves into the game and getting plenty of touches, and no pressure on them as yet from France.
Yeah, just the start they'll have wanted. Tchouameni conceded that free kick. It's played short. Mela, right-footed ball in from the left flank, but that is headed up and away. It was Olivier Giroud back inside his own penalty area. He looks terrific, doesn't he, Giroud? Those 2 goals in the opening match. I mean, a striker can't ask for too much more than that from your first game at a tournament.
And he'll be desperate to get that record tonight, won't he? On his own, not sharing it with Thierry Henry. He'll want that on his own.
Here is Dembele now, down the right-hand side for France. Plays it across to Rabiot. Now here is Mbappe into the match for the first time. Just listen to the frisson of excitement as Mbappe takes possession of the ball. However, he lost it, and Denmark are able to bring it forward again in centre field. And it is Damsgaard who turns away, and then the ball is played through the middle for Cornelius, who it was slightly behind him, and he just tried to check himself and knock it into his stride, but missed it completely.
Very good play from Højbjerg, that was, John, wasn't it? When he was left with one-on-one with Mbappe, and he tried the old leg over the ball, didn't he, as if wanted him to go one way, but he wasn't having any of that. He just got his body in the way and then set Denmark on the attack.
You know what I like about Denmark? We've seen quite a lot of them. You know, they've played England on a number of occasions over the course of recent years. They are a proper team. They're a proper international football team. And even though, and yes, they've got stars out there. I mean, here's one of them, for example, Christian Eriksen, who just plays the ball back into the centre circle. But they've clearly got a really good thing going under Kasper Hjulmand, who seems to be someone who's very, very well suited to international football management as well. Breaks down on the edge of the French penalty area, and it's taken out to the far side by Theo Hernandez, who tries to play it out off the Danish player, but fails to do so. So it's a throw-in to Denmark near the corner flag, into the box. Oh, nice glancing header. Cornelius plays it right across the penalty area, but doesn't get that right. And France will bring it away unless Mela's able to challenge Dembele, but he can't. He was just too fleet of foot for him, Dembele, and then he also takes on and beats Eriksen and plays it to the left-hand side to Rabiot, and now to the left-hand side. And Mbappe is beginning to move infield. He plays it to Dembele on the edge of the D, turns onto his right foot and shoots, but there was a man there for Denmark who was able to block it away. Christian Eriksen it was, and Denmark have got it again on the edge of their penalty area. I think I can tell tonight who the neutrals inside the stadium are supporting. Everyone loves a winner.
Absolutely, yeah. You can feel the anticipation when Dembele and Mbappe gets the ball, don't you? But I was really impressed at the numbers that Denmark had back then. Every single one of them doing their job, and there was no space whatsoever for Dembele to run into.
France 0, Denmark 0. 5 minutes played, and Denmark again to the halfway line, trying to start a Mexican wave already over on the far side of the field.
Shall we get up, John?
Honestly, Alan, I've got so much on my plate at this World Cup. I haven't got time for Mexican waves.
It's nothing to do with your bad knees, then.
No, my knees are all right.
Mine aren't.
I know. Here's Christensen, and then to Nelson to the left, and then it's played forward by Damsgaard, and now shuffled forward by Eriksen, who tries to roll it across into the path of Cornelius, but Upamecano came across and just leaned into Cornelius, and so France have got it on the edge of their own penalty area.
And that's exactly what I was talking about in terms of the Griezmann and who's going to pick that midfield runner. This time it was Eriksen. No one ran with him at all. He ran free up until about 25 yards out, and you can't allow that too many times with his ability.
France bring the ball forward. It's an interesting choice tonight. Cornelius, the big man, 6'4". He's now back in Denmark playing for FC Copenhagen, his former team, having been in Turkey where he did well, won the league with Trabzonspor last season, but he has actually not scored since he went back to Copenhagen for this season. So I guess he's going to act as the target man through the middle, and they'll look to get as many bodies into the penalty area to support him. But it's France in possession at the moment, and the cheers because that Mexican wave continues to make its way around the ground. we will have real Mexican waves, won't we, in 4 years' time, when the World Cup is being hosted in Mexico and Canada and the United States. Here's Mbappe on the left-hand side, but good work from Christensen. They went shoulder to shoulder, the two of them together, and it was the Leeds United man who was able to get down, put the challenge in and put it out of play on the far side.
It's twice he's had the ball, 2 opportunities to run at them, and twice he's been taken care of with ease. Actually used all their professionalism, stood in front of him and said, you're going nowhere.
I've rather liked Christensen actually when I've seen him for Leeds United this season. Here's Dembele back to Rabiot with his head tied back behind his head. Mbappe's got space out on the far side, but he has to back away and take it down, and then Mbappe plays it in. Whip delivery. Christensen actually didn't get there. By the time Mbappe had got it under control, he was almost on the white line on the far side, and then went for that vicious delivery into the penalty area that Denmark were able to head away. He was absolutely vibrant, wasn't he, when it came to the latter stages of the game against Australia.
That's the problem you've got. They've gone tight on him and they've took the ball off him. They stood up for him this time and he whipped that ball in with a bit of pace, looking for the height of Giroud, but Denmark just clear it just in time.
France 0, Denmark 0. Really good to see Raphael Varane down there, because it looked as though for all the world that when he went down with that injury at Stamford Bridge just a few weeks ago now, that there would be no World Cup for him. But fortunately, it turned out to be not as serious as he initially thought, and here he is now starting for France in the second match. So Ibrahima Konate of Liverpool is back on the bench for this one. 0-0 the score, and France making ground through the middle, out towards the left-hand side. Mbappe looks to give it back down the left-hand side. Hernandez with the cross, deep one towards the far post, almost falls for Giroud. It was nodded back across by Rabiot, but it wouldn't come down for him. Actually, it bounced up and bounced across him before he could get the shot in.
Very good play from France down that left-hand side. Hernandez shows pace. He whipped a great ball in, and Rabiot gets on the end of it and tries to knock it back into Giroud. But again, Denmark had the numbers back there to clear it.
Yeah, and great work from Rabiot to get himself into the penalty area at the back post.
Very similar run to where he got his goal the other night.
Almost 10 minutes played, and it is 0-0. The Danish fans just gently bobbing up and down together. It's like the last night of the proms over there, as the ball is played by Mæhle back into centre field. Eriksson goes for a long pass out to Christensen, who's into the penalty area, rolls the ball over, rolls the foot over the ball, then tried to play it into the area, and it was blocked away, and it's hit the corner flag, and it hasn't gone out. It's stayed in the quadrant, so two players have to race full tilt. Denmark have got it. Here's the cross, but Lloris is able to come and catch it, arms high above his head, on the edge of the 6-yard box.
Very good goalkeeping. Just what your central defenders need when that ball's in there, and they look as if and feel as if they're in trouble. You're looking for the goalkeeper to come and give you a little bit of a hand.
Well, he's had his moments, hasn't he, this season, Lloris? But in amongst all that, he'll make some amazing saves, and he's been such an important man in this French side as the captain and the leader, and World Cup winning captain obviously, but Nations League winning captain as well. And I remember him absolutely brilliant in that Nations League final, and tonight it's his 141st cap for France, which means he's one behind the record holder Lilian Thuram, who I'm guessing you probably played against.
I did.
Yeah, what a good player he was.
That was superb, he was. It's not a bad record, is it?
No, it's not. And World Cup winner and all that, and his son, of course, on the bench, coming on the other night, as Denmark play the ball away towards the halfway line. That's taken down by Upamecano, who knocks it forward. Here's Griezmann's not really got into the game just yet, and there's a foul on Mbappe, and it's a free kick to France over on the far side. I mentioned the fact that the Forest Green Alf Church match is going on Sports Extra, the commentary. More news from there with Chris Coles.
An equaliser for the non-league side, John. Forest Green 1, Alvechurch 1. Jed Abbey with a sumptuous free kick from the edge of the area, over the wall, into the top corner, and the lowest ranked team left in the FA Cup are still alive. Forest Green 1, Alvechurch 1, 5 minutes into the second half.
Griezmann with this free kick for France. That's a good delivery as well, and it's come off the head of the defender, who just came across it and got a glancing header. It was Cornelius, actually, the centre forward, who actually headed it across his own penalty area. He had to get that right, but he did, out for corner.
It was a good ball in. Giroud was lurking there, didn't he? He was stretching his neck out there, the expectation that ball was going to get to him, so Cornelius had to get something on it, and luckily he did, but he's given away a corner.
Well, if France continue to put balls into the Danish box like this, as they have done in the opening 12 minutes, this is going to be a severe test for the Danish defence. Corner then from the right, first corner of the match, Griezmann to take it, left-footed to the edge of the 6-yard box, glanced right across the face of goal and then scrambled away at the back post. A number of players went for it at the near post. It might have been Varane who was closest to it. Let's see, as the ball is cleared away downfield to Lloris at the other end. Long clearance from him downfield. Dembele wins that header. In fact, he's fouled his man, Nelson, Victor Nelson, who's gone down holding his head. So the referee, who actually I haven't mentioned yet, Szymon Marciniak is the referee, the Polish official, Champions League referee. As you'll be aware, it was Varane, wasn't it, who got that near post header.
It was a fantastic leap, wasn't it, at that near post there, when Griezmann whips that corner in with great pace again, and he's first to react and get that. But luckily for Denmark, Mæhle was there at the far post to get it away.
Yes, just make a note of that. So Varane's header, that's the nearest we've come to an opening goal in this World Cup match in Group D, where if France win, they'll be through to the last 16. We're going back to the new lawn, though, in the FA Cup. Chris Coles.
Because Alvechurch's joy short-lived. Forest Green back in front. They lead 2-1. Josh March, stooping header at the back post, formerly of Alvechurch, and he's put Forest Green 2-1 up against Alvechurch.
Commentary continues on Sports Extra, and we will keep you updated on any big stories in the FA Cup second round. I should have asked, I presume the draw for the third round is Monday night. It normally is. Juliet to my left is giving me the thumbs up. Mark Chapman can't surely be going back for the third round draw, can he, from Qatar? Although you never know, do you? I'm convinced sometimes that there's at least 3 of him. France 0, Denmark 0. Upamecano playing the ball away from the edge of his own penalty area out to Theo Hernandez. Gets his head down, crosses the halfway line, looks to his left, and he's hugging the white line over there. Kylian Mbappe takes on Christensen, and then Mbappe decides just to knock it back into centre field to Tchouaméni, and Tchouaméni's back in possession. This time Mbappe more centrally goes for a well-struck, sweetly struck pass out to the right-hand side. Dembele taking on Mæhle, doesn't quite get past him, thought he had, then turns, Cruyff turn, and then a right-footed cross. That's a good one in the middle. Giroud battling for it. Defender was there with him, and the two of them just have a little tangle actually after that. Joachim Andersen of Crystal Palace, and I think Giroud just sort of, there was a brief interaction between the two of them, and then Giroud just walked away.
That's exactly what Giroud needs, is Dembele to get that ball and go past the full-back or the left wing-back as he did Mæhle, and whip that ball in with pace and 1v1, but they thwarted him again and he wasn't too happy with the defender.
Alan, you must be twitching sitting here as the centre forward.
Did you not see me jump then, John? I was on the end of that one.
Watching some of these crosses that are coming into the penalty area, you would have been in your element.
I'll apologise now for using my elbows. I was after that one straight away.
I know, might have to have a concussion stoppage in the commentary box. France 0, Denmark 0. Just watching there, Joachim Andersen incidentally just took me back to the Premier League at the start of this season when Darwin Núñez ended up getting sent off, when Joachim Andersen wound him up at Anfield, didn't he?
Trying to do the same.
Well, I just wonder whether he might be. I mean, good luck with that against Olivier Giroud with all of his experience.
I was just about to say that. He won't fall for that, will he?
You wouldn't have thought so. Particularly, well, who knows? The heat can do funny things to people, you know. The ball's out of play on the halfway line, and it's a throw-in to France. And it's I would say it'd be about 4/5 full, the stadium. That would be my guess. The French in great voice, that's who you can hear at the moment, the French supporters. And Giroud just laying the ball off to the right-hand side, looking for Koundé, but he's been caught upfield, although he's helped out by Varane, who comes and chips it forward. And Denmark have got it again at the back, and they go back into their own territory. So it is Kasper Schmeichel with the ball at his feet. I noticed the television cameras were zooming in on him when he was carrying out his warm-up, and he was dressed in that black shirt that Denmark are wearing, you know, so you can't see any of the logos from the sponsors, which was, you know, part of the whole thing against the human rights in Qatar. but wearing black in these conditions, he was absolutely sweltered. You could tell the sweat was dripping off him. Kasper Schmeichel. Denmark bringing the ball forward towards the halfway line. And Nelson just pops it across to Andreas Christensen. It's a little bit of a rejig at the back for Denmark, with Nelson coming in on the left side of the back three. So Christensen has moved across to the right, the former Chelsea man, now Barcelona. And Denmark go all the way back to Schmeichel again, who plays it out to the right-hand side. Christensen knocks it into the middle. Cornelius trying to hold it up, but France have been able to win the ball back from him, and they've got it inside their own half. Here is Varane, World Cup winner, multiple Champions League winner, and France with Mbappe, and now Hernandez is carrying it forward, the left back, but his pass was behind Giroud, and Denmark have got it back. And it is the Danes who come forward. Christian Eriksen just knocking it back to Mæhle, and this time it's Denmark who have possession inside their own half. So there is Kasper Hjulmand down there on the coaching area, short-sleeved white shirt, just watching his team coming forward towards the halfway line. Nelson uses Mæhle, and he's quickly closed down by Koundé, and then back again into the Danish half. I think the debate about whether it's Rabiot or Koundé at right back has been an interesting one. That's what they've been talking about in France, and Mæhle is now taking it on, but it's actually Dembele who comes back and puts the challenge in, almost in his own right back position, with Koundé backing away. Throw-in is taken quickly, played into the penalty area by Damsgaard, and then back and finds its way to Damsgaard again on the stretch, got away from him. Varane then stepped forward and nipped it away, and then Griezmann passes it forward, and that Danish back line has got to be careful here. In fact, Mbappe was sprinting away and he was pulled back. Now there were players either side of him. It was just forward of the centre circle, maybe 3-4 yards, but that was a blatant pull back by Andreas Christensen, who knew that Mbappe was away from him, and he pulled him over.
He'd done him. He'd won the ball. He was away on goal. Luckily for him, there were probably two defenders in Anderson and Nelson who were just within 3 or 4 yards and perhaps would have got to the ball. But all the French players are surrounding their referee there, saying that they think it should be a red card. I think his defenders have helped him out massively here, because they were within 2 or 3 yards of him. If there's no one there, it's without doubt a red.
Yeah, it is a yellow, and you can hear the reaction of the French supporters. Well, we're telling you what the reaction is of the French players. They were around referee Marcignac, but he is one of the best referees around in Europe, and it wouldn't be at all a surprise if he ended up refereeing the World Cup final itself, providing Poland don't go very, very deep into the tournament. But it is a free kick, and it's only a yellow card, first of the match to Christensen.
He's got that one right, I think.
I think so too. Dembele, left-footed ball into the area. That's good as well. Schmeichel makes the save. The header from Rabiot from 12 yards out, 13 yards out, and he leapt to his right, Schmeichel, and was able to parry it away.
It's clearly in their game plan, John, France. We've seen it on the left-hand side now, and we've seen it twice on this right-hand side with a Dembele whipping those balls in, and if it's not Giroud getting on the end of them, then it's either going to be Mbappe or Rabiot, as it was then, as it was in the first game. He's given the freedom to do that, and he's done half-time his runs well.
Well, if it carries on like this, and this quality of ball continues to be the case into the Danish penalty area, you would think that it's only a matter of time before Giroud or Rabiot, who's now had a couple of headers in there, actually is able to convert and get the ball into the Danish net. But there are no guarantees that that would be the case. Going back to Koundé, by the way, at the other end, Julien Laurent was giving us a bit of insight, wasn't he, into how when Koundé has played at right back for France, things have not always, in fact almost always, not gone well. And the last time he played at right back, he was sent off against Bosnia and had a terrible match in that position, according to Julien. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. The FA Cup third round draw, by the way, it is 7 o'clock Monday night, and you'll hear it on 5 Live, and you can watch it on BBC Two Monday night. And when we get back, we'll be more or less going straight into the FA Cup third round, won't we, Alan? Seems like a long way away, doesn't it, from sitting here.
No time off, John.
No,
we don't want that, do we?
We never close. We're like Arkwright. France 0, Denmark 0. Halfway through the first half, and France have had the better of it, but haven't been able to find a way through. Denmark with it on the halfway line. Giroud gets there first, and I think he was caught by Cornelius. He was, and that's a yellow card. The referee's seen that as a late challenge by the one centre forward on the other in the centre circle. Just stepped on his ankle, and actually he's down. The big man, the experienced French centre forward, the number 9, Olivier Giroud. Cornelius leaning over him, just checking to see he's all right, but that is the second Danish player in the referee's notebook.
The problem that Denmark have got, John, is that because of the width that Mbappe and Dembele, he just stands on him there, doesn't he? Cornelius on the top of his foot and deserves a yellow card, nothing more than that. But I was saying the problem they've got, Denmark, is because of the width that France have got with Dembele and Mbappe left and right. They're not sure whether to go tight or whether to drop off, and what they've done at the minute is that, okay, you say, well, you're not going to get in behind us, we're actually going to drop off. So what both wingers or both forwards have done is say, okay, that's fine, we don't have to go past you, we're just going to whip that ball in, and if it's not Giroud, then it's going to be Rabiot who's timing his run into the box. It's been a clear plan from France in these first 23 minutes, I think it is.
That's Alan Shearer with us on 5 Live, and remember, you can rewind the live radio on BBC Sounds, or indeed on your smart speaker. If you've joined us late, you want to go back and listen to the whole commentary, all you need to do is just ask BBC Sounds to rewind to whatever time it was, to go back to the start of our commentary. So ask BBC Sounds are the magic words on that, and you can take the World Cup with you throughout the course of the tournament via BBC Sounds. France 0, Denmark 0. 24 minutes played. Giroud is okay. I think Cornelius just sort of stepped on the ball of his ankle, didn't he? Which will be painful, but nothing too serious. He'll have a bruise, he might have a graze there, but he's back. I just see him as he's running there, just dragging that foot, but he's okay. France 0, Denmark 0, and Denmark bringing the ball out from the back and actually playing it back again into the back line. So this is the third commentary of the day. Big one tonight, Argentina-Mexico in Group C. And after Poland's win, that is a very, very interesting group. Denmark with it inside their own half. Long pass from Joachim Andersen, which is miscontrolled behind by Mæhle, and that will be a goal kick to the French. They're in great spirits down there, lots of tricolours being waved in their area. I've seen various members who've come straight from the French Revolution in the crowd. There are a whole line of them with their tricorn hats. We've got Asterix and Obelix in there as well, I noticed, towards the back of the stand. And France down in front of them, the current heroes, are going to take this goal kick. Almost indomitable in the World Cup. Already a 4-1 win, and they're playing the ball out towards the left-hand side. Upamecano to Hernandez. Being put under pressure, and France being forced back into their own penalty area. It's knocked across the 6-yard box. There's been some anxious moments as Tottenham have played out from the back with Lloris this season, and there he just overhit that pass, and Denmark are back in possession inside the French half, although they go back into their own territory. And it is played forward again by Joachim Andersen. He's right on the halfway line. He passes it back to his right, to Christensen, and then Christensen back to Joachim Andersen again. Not too much movement up ahead, so Joachim Andersen will take it on himself and actually carry it halfway inside the French half. The ball then hits the referee, so we will have an uncontested drop ball. France 0, Denmark 0. We've attracted, well, I say we've attracted, you've attracted quite a lot of attention, haven't you? I think that's an official FIFA cameraman who's been hovering around.
It's you, John, they're after you.
Think so? Yeah.
They'll be wanting your autograph in a minute.
Fame at last. Here's Andersen, right-footed ball out to Mæhle, who had to jump for it, but that meant that he presented the ball to Koundé, who headed it out of play. Mæhle will take this 10 yards back from the corner flag, gets it down, just taps it in field, but Koundé was able to get it away. However, the central defender Nelson's got involved. Nelson against the French, that's only just occurred to me. Could be his Trafalgar tonight. Here is Højbjerg back to the halfway line. And now Andreas Christensen. Christensen, right-footed ball to the edge of the penalty area. That's up and headed away by Hernandez, out of play on the far side. It was an awful blow, wasn't it, for Lucas Hernandez, with some of the injury problems that he's had, to be taken out of the World Cup with a knee injury in the opening match. But his brother steps in. Denmark with it on the right-hand side. Attempted cross, that's blocked out of play by young Hernandez, and it's another corner. And the Danish fans are quite cheered by this. So it's a throw-in to Denmark. Eriksen comes short. Christian Eriksen, just a light touch with his right foot, and then Eriksen gets it back again, but I think he might have overrun it. He has. It's a goal kick to the French.
And that's what they're trying to do, is Denmark is trying to stretch the play as well with their two wing-backs when they get the ball, and looking for that long diagonal pass from one of the three centre-halves.
So goal kick, and I think Lloris is going to take this long. Yes, there's going to be no more of that faffing about with it after the latest mini scare. So he'll take it long.
Faffing about, John. That's called playing out from the back.
Sorry, that's what I meant. That's what I meant to say. I know a lot of people who'll think it's faffing about at the back.
I'm one of them sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. As long ball downfield towards Giroud, but he's beaten. In fact, Mbappe on the edge of the penalty area is beaten in the air by Anderson, and Denmark have got it back. And the thing is as well, we're talking about the FA Cup second round this afternoon, they'll all be doing it, won't they? Down, the non-league teams against the league teams will be playing it out from the back, taking short goal kicks. As Denmark continue to bring it forward, and Hernandez has to go, Upamecano has to go to ground to slide it out for a throw. Denmark just having a better spell. They've weathered quite a storm actually from France, and it's still 0-0. And now here they are, twist on the right-hand side from Lindstrom, who goes for the byline but overruns it. French cheers, and it's behind for a goal kick to Didier Deschamps' side again.
It's really good defending from Hernandez there. He just gets his body in the way and guides that ball, lets that ball run out for a goal kick for France.
So Lloris will take this. We've not seen Didier Deschamps on the edge of his coaching area yet. One of the most glittering careers it's possible to have, the old water carrier, as Eric Cantona used to call him in his playing days, but brilliant record as captain of France, World Cup winners and European Championship winners. And here comes Mbappe. Mbappe, brilliant turn, left-footed cross. It's gone all the way to the right-hand side, where it's driven across by Koundé, and it hits a defender in the middle, which took all the pace off it. There was Højbjerg in there on the edge of his 6-yard box, and Schmeichel was able to rather easily just trot across to his left and pick it up.
He's impossible to play against when he's got that much grass in behind him for a defender, because what he does is Mbappe, he actually stops the defender, then he goes again, and as soon as the defender stops, he's away and he gets in behind it. On this occasion, his final ball actually let him down, because he was meant to whip it in there for Giroud, who was in there, but it was actually Koundé who gets up to support him, and he gets his shot away at goal. It was on target, I think, but it was blocked.
Yeah, by Højbjerg. France 0, Denmark 0. At half-time, we'll round everything up for you. The latest on Wales, Australia coming as well. And they'll be gathering at Twickenham for England, South Africa. The ball is played behind Dembele, and it's out of play, and it's a throw-in to Denmark. And Nelson just knocks it in field. And now it's being carried forward from centre field by Højbjerg. They're messing with my mind, Denmark, because last time I sat in this seat, I was commentating in this ground on Poland, who were wearing white shirts, red shorts and white socks. So I'm going to say it now to try and stop myself saying Poland instead of Denmark. As Nelson plays the ball from the left-hand side, and Christensen rolls it down into the full-back position for Lindstrom, and then Upamecano comes across and has been able to play it back, according to the Polish officials, into the Danish player. And out of play, and
not for me. I thought that was a corner.
Lindstrom was making the point, but the assistant's given it, the officials have given it, and it is given as a goal kick to France.
What they've done differently, though, is Damsgaard on this left-hand side, he was rather isolated, so what he's done is he's actually made one or two runs in behind to try and support the big man Cornelius up there, and in doing that, he's asking the two centre-halves a different question.
there was quite a lot of excitement, wasn't there, when Brentford signed Damsgaard this summer. It was quite late in the transfer window after Eriksen had moved to Manchester United. But he's not really been a regular starter by any means. Just 3 starts so far for Brentford, and 8 substitute appearances. But he's very much a rising star. 22 years old, signed from Sampdoria this summer, and I'm sure in times to come for Thomas Frank's side, he will get himself into the starting lineup. As Denmark have it at the back, Andersen, Christensen plays it away. And then it's up towards Cornelius, who goes down under the challenge. Denmark wanted a free kick. Griezmann takes it on. Giroud back to Griezmann. Griezmann shoots from an angle. Saved by the goalkeeper's legs. Dembele rolls it across. Tchouaméni with a shot. Tchouaméni then heads it square to Dembele, whose shot is blocked. And they managed, Denmark, to get any number of defenders back in the penalty area there when it threatened to open up for France. And somehow were able to put the blocks in. We saw that save, strange save actually by Schmeichel from the shot from an impossible angle by Griezmann, from almost on the dead ball line. But he kicked it away, Schmeichel. And that led to the harem-scarum in the penalty area. Dembele now playing it to Koundé. Chance for him to cross to the back post. It's headed away by Christensen and then cleared further away by Lindstrom, who is back inside his own penalty area. Comes back again. France have stepped it up. Rabiot with a shot. That's into the back of Christensen, and it was hit with such force that the ball rebounded off Christensen and actually didn't come down till it dropped off the pitch on the far side.
That's twice, by the way, he's had to defend really, really well there, Christensen, because the ball was dinked in from Koundé down this right-hand side, and Mbappe was just about to try and stick his head on the end of it. And luckily the defender got there, and then he got up again and blocked another shot. Yeah,
Griezmann plays the ball in from the left-hand side. Cornelius, that looked like a foul. It is, given as a free kick. Cornelius, who is already on a yellow card, remember, for that foul on Giroud in the centre circle. This time he's caught Tchouaméni. This is between the centre circle and the penalty area, and Tchouaméni has stayed down, and Cornelius has kind of skulked away with his head bowed. I'm ever so sorry. and the referee Marciniak, I think, might just have a little word when he walks past him. But it's a free kick and a good position for France. Another chance to put in one of those deliveries.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what they're going to do. Centre-halves are up at the far post. One either side, actually.
Still 0-0. Griezmann is over the ball. Upamecano is standing just behind him, but it is going to be Griezmann to play it in, and it's headed away by Andersen. It was rather casually played in, wasn't it? Left-footed by Griezmann. He sort of sauntered up and curled it in. Back with Griezmann again, playing it through the middle. Bounces off Mbappe. Denmark come forward. Cornelius plays it out to the right-hand side. Denmark could be on for the break here. Cornelius, I think he was offside when it was played through. He shoots wide of the near post from the angle.
Yeah, I think it was offside as well. Højbjerg just delayed the pass too long, I thought. Cornelius makes his run. He plays a lovely 1-2 with him, and he's looking for it again and then they're running behind. He's got no other option but to have a pop at goal because there's no one in support of him.
But I think he just strayed offside. So France 0, Denmark 0 here in Qatar, on the south side of Doha, next to Doha Harbour. It's where all the cruise ships are. It's an incredible sight, actually. They just came in on the eve of the tournament. The biggest cruise ships you could ever wish to see. 5, 6 more of them, all moored in there, and that's what many supporters are doing, are staying on those cruise ships. Ball on the left-hand side with France. France 0, Denmark 0 on 5 Live. We're going to go back to Wales-Australia in a moment in the Rugby Union, the Autumn International, but France are coming forward. Tchouaméni, and then Giroud who uses his instep to play it back centrally. Varane, now it's with Dembele, cutting in from the right, turns back onto his right foot. He loves a turn, doesn't he, Dembele? Again turns onto his left foot, goes for a high pass to Mbappe, who volleys it across. Giroud with a header, but headed it down and wide. He was under pressure from Nelson, got up well, but headed it, a yard wide.
Wow, what great play from all 3 forwards, from Dembele, the cross over to Mbappe, who then has got the decision to make whether he takes a touch or actually volleys it first time, which he chose to do with that left foot in the hope that Giroud was in there. He wasn't trying to get on the end of it. He just doesn't get the connection that he wants, does he, and heads it wide.
What about the volley from Mbappe?
Not bad, was it?
Oh, it was Di Canio-like, wasn't it? Do you remember the Di Canio?
I do.
The volley goal, but
the far post. Yeah.
This was on the other side of the penalty area. If you're on Match of the Day tonight, well, you might be on Match of the Day tonight for all I know. Are you?
I don't think we'll get back
on
in
the
time,
highlights.
will we?
No,
not with your driving anyway.
I see. Beggars can't be choosers on the way back, is it? Well, Steve Bowers just over to our right, and I know he's commentating for the highlights, which are on, I think, 10:30 tonight. I wrote down somewhere. But anyway, my point is, if you were, you'd have that in your highlights. Christensen, brilliant work from him, and then plays the ball right across the 6-yard box. And he says, and he's waving his fist in the air, Christensen, saying to Cornelius, come on, I've just nutmegged Hernandez and played a ball like that across the edge of the 6-yard box. Where were you?
He's furious, and rightly so, because he does so well to get in behind. He sticks it through the defender's legs and then whips it across, and thinking, come on, just get on the end of it. It's 7 yards out. Cornelius just stood still, no movement whatsoever. He's absolutely right to be having a right go at him.
You make a note of that, because that's as good as they've had, I would say. Denmark. France 0, Denmark 0, half-time approaching. And as promised, the latest from Cardiff now on Wales-Australia from Gareth Lewis.
Wales are a few miles an hour above your alleged driving speed, John. They've been relentless this second half. 2 early second half tries, Jack Morgan and Rio Dyer. 34-13 they lead. For all that talk of pressure on Wayne Peaback, this is a record score against the Wallabies.
Yeah, better sporting news for Wales today then. And do join us, by the way, for England-Wales here in Qatar on Tuesday night. And the ball is out of play for a throw-in to Denmark in their own left-back position. That's on BBC One as well, Alan, yeah?
Yes,
England-Wales Tuesday night, so watch it, listen
huge
to it.
Game.
Yeah, huge match. France 0, Denmark 0. But that Mbappe volley, that has been the highlight of the first half for me. What a touch. Came to nothing, but it was pure. Ball over the top by Dembele. Ball over the top for Dembele, who gets it down and drives it across, and then Mbappe arriving onto it on his right foot, 13 yards out, blazes it over the top.
And Dembele's got his head in his hands, and rightly so, because he's looking at his teammate Mbappe there and thinking, I've put it on a plate for you, it's 13 yards out. It wasn't that difficult a chance, was it? He does ever so well. The quick ball down the line onto the right hand side, and Dembele looks up. Giroud runs to the near post, which then creates the space for Mbappe. What's that, 20, 25 yards over the bar from Mbappe?
So still 0-0, and Dembele had every right to do a Christensen there, didn't he? To shake his fist at him. But I don't think that's the kind of thing you do to him, Mbappe.
It's typical, isn't it? We're just saying how good his volley was across the goal, and it was. And he's got a superb opportunity, probably the best opportunity of the game there. And you'd want it to fall to him, but he skies it really.
That's sport.
High over the bar.
That's football.
It is.
It?
I've done it a few times myself, John.
Yeah, well, I would imagine that one of your old teammates, Philippe Albert, walked up the steps a little bit earlier. I imagine he's the sort of character that when you did that might have let you know about it. Would that be right in thinking that?
Everyone let me know about it.
Did they?
No more so than being angry with myself.
Yes, of course.
Which I'm sure Mbappe is at this moment in time.
Yeah, but I have to say I wouldn't have recognised Philippe Albert if you hadn't pointed him out. Philippe Albert. Everyone knows his name.
Everyone knows his name. Well done, John.
France 0, Denmark 0. 4 minutes to go to half-time. Mbappe runs the ball out of play. So we've seen everything from him.
He's human.
Yeah, but Denmark have dealt with him pretty well.
Yeah, reasonably well. Absolutely. You're right, he had that volley. But he did find himself in acres of space there, 13 yards out, and that should have been in the back of the net for a guy of his ability. That wasn't a difficult chance.
First time I've seen France live at this World Cup, and in advance, to lose the names that they did. Some of the star players that they've lost, including during the tournament, Benzema and Hernandez, Lucas Hernandez, never mind Pogba and Kante, etc., and more. And yet to still have a team of this quality, and the quality that they've got on the substitutes as well. Here's Griezmann playing it back, just turning and Tchouameni there, one of the rising young stars, the 22-year-old from Real Madrid. Oh, lovely from Dembele. Koundé, oh, then runs into Nelson. Oh, that's nasty. That's nasty, I'm afraid. It's a yellow card. It was at pace, and Nelson, that's really hurt him. I think it's down in the ankle area, and he's twisted away. He's holding his leg. I'm just hoping that it's one of those that, because of his movement, because of the way that he's moving down there, that he is going to be okay.
Yeah, that was a nasty tackle, that was. He realised that he wasn't going to get to the ball, you know, and just pulled out at that last minute. But what he didn't do, he didn't pull his foot away. He left his foot there, which then meant he had nowhere to go other than the top of his ankle, and that was a nasty one.
Yeah, the number 3, Victor Nelson, who is playing his first match at a World Cup, 24 years old, been brought in, and they're taking great care with him here. And what it means for the rest of the players is that in these very warm conditions, if it's anything like this down at ground level inside this stadium, then the players will need a drink to dehydrate. And I see Giroud and Cornelius have just had a little word together. Everything's all right. Yeah, little slap of hands after they've had a couple of tussles. Foul by Cornelius in the centre circle on Giroud. Cornelius was booked for that. And I'm pleased to say that Nelson is getting to his feet now, and he looks okay. But that could have been nasty.
That could have been really nasty, yeah. It was a naughty one, that was. He could have pulled away, you know, but he chose not to. Only because he realised he wasn't going to get the ball. He could have lifted his leg up, but he didn't. He left his studs there, which left the outcome that he was going to be a nasty challenge, and it was.
On our little screen here, we just had a graphic showing us the number of receptions that there have been on the field. Some great terminology surrounding this World Cup. They've upped the stat terminology.
I'm rather hoping America.
Yeah, well, I mean, some might say that. Receptions. I'm hoping later in the tournament, when it might calm down a little bit, I'm hoping we might get to 1 or 2 receptions. We'll see.
What does it mean anyway, receptions?
I was hoping you were going to tell me. I keep seeing these things. I need either Mark Chapman, who knows all the American terms, or of course Statman Dave.
Yeah.
Dave O'Brien knows them all, and he's on the World Cup Daily every day on the podcast, which is free from BBC Sounds, where you get all the reaction, debate and analysis every morning. Denmark coming forward, but there's a shot that I think it's best to draw a veil over that from Christian Eriksen from 40 yards. That was rather tired, wasn't it?
He was looking up for options, for forwards options, looked to his left and his right, and there was nothing. Looked forward, still nothing. So head down, thought, why not have a hit?
Have a go.
Well, it wasn't really a hit, was it?
No, it pulled it wide, low shot, well wide of Lloris's goal. His old teammate, of course, Eriksen and Lloris. France 0, Denmark 0. We're in added time at the end of the first half. It's been okay for a 0-0, Alan?
Yeah, it has, yeah. I mean, they've had one opportunity, haven't they, Denmark? Nothing on target at this moment in time. Struggled to get the ball into forward positions. Been tested once or twice defensively, but Kasper Schmeichel's been there, and in the main, defended okay.
Griezmann plays it into the space. Hernandez is taking it forward. He likes to do that every opportunity. And now Mbappe. We've seen good, very good, bad and indifferent from Mbappe in this first half. Now here's Rabiot. Rabiot then chips it onto the chest of Mbappe, and Mbappe curls it in. And that was the indifferent. In fact, it was verging on the poor. And it was over everyone inside the penalty area beyond the far post goal kick.
And that's your fault. Ever since you said that was that great volley. Watch it on Match of the Day later on. He's had 3 touches and every single one's gone out of play.
Yeah, he's gone from pure to poor, if I can put it in
the you were going to say something else then.
France 0, Denmark 0. So at a time, Julien Laurent, I see, is in position to give his verdict on France at half-time. We'll be joined by Kelly, who's in our Qatar studio, which makes it sound a bit grander than it is, Alan. I don't know whether you've been in it yet. It's basically a room in a flat. As the ball is back towards the halfway line. And now it's Nelson who slips the ball forward. And then Mailer on the left-hand side. And now Mela looks to get it back. There's a stretch, but Mela can't get there, and it's out of play for a throw. It reminds me when you go up to that flat, because it's like a flat that's been converted into a studio, and there are people bustling about in every room. And it's what I imagine it to be like if you went into MI5, you know, who are operating on foreign territory, and they've converted this flat into a nerve centre. As Denmark bring it forward through the middle, but that's good work from Rabiot back in there. And then Griezmann just economically plays it out to the left-hand side, and then Hernandez gives it to Mbappe, and Mbappe's running at the Danish defence, and he goes for goal. Giroud actually throws himself in front of it. I don't think he was trying to glance. What was he trying to do?
I think
he headed it back to him.
I think he was trying to get out the way of it, you know, because I think Mbappe was maybe going for that far post in the hope that he'd just catch Kasper Schmeichel out of place there, because he was running towards that post himself, but he actually hits his teammate in Giroud.
So for his next trick, Mbappe's poleaxed Giroud. France 0, Denmark 0, and Nelson clears it over the halfway line, and that is the last action of the first half. France 0, Denmark 0. We've seen some really good stuff from France at times. They had the chances. Some of the deliveries into the penalty area were exquisite, excellent, but Denmark dealt with it. That's the important thing. And no goals, Alan.
Yeah, no goals. That'll be the frustrating thing for France. Never really been put under too much pressure from Denmark. Had one or two good moments themselves, but haven't been able to find the back of the net yet. They're just that little bit missing in front of goal. Had one or two opportunities, but for a couple of good saves from Schmeichel.
Yeah, so far so good for Nelson and friends against the French. At half-time, France 0, Denmark 0.
Excellent reference there, John Murray. Thank you very much for that. Back with John and with Alan Shearer for the second half of that game at the 974 Stadium. We're also joined by Julien Laurent, and what we've been made aware of, Jules, is that you're being filmed by a FIFA film crew. Tell us more.
That's right, Kelly, that's right. I mean, you can't miss them anyway because they follow me everywhere, sound engineer and
obviously,
the cameraman.
as many people do. It's them and all the people with their phones held up to film you.
It will be for a Netflix documentary on the World Cup, and that will also go on FIFA Plus. Not on me, I reassure you, it's not on me. But I'll have a small pie in it, I think. So
that shattered our illusions anyway.
Yes.
Me and John, we thought they were following us.
I think
I
you're
can have
the
a word,
cutaways
Alan,
in
if
this
you want.
instance.
Can I have a word?
We're not that important anyway, you see, John.
Not anymore. It's the age thing.
The worst thing is when it gets captioned and it says Julien Laurent and friends.
And two guys.
Listen, so therefore you are the man to ask about this first half for France. How on earth are they not in front in this game?
I'm wondering too, Kelly. I thought there was a lot of very good things in that first half. I think it was very positive. They just need a bit in the final third, maybe a bit more efficiency, being a bit more clinical. I think on the ball from Dembélé to Mbappe and that one-touch volley towards Giroud is slightly late, but if he's maybe half a second earlier, I think he smashes the header in the back of the net. Instead, he goes wide with his shoulder. But so it's not far. It's coming. What I was the most impressed with really is the control of that game. And apart from the Cornelius shot that might even have been offside, they didn't check because they didn't have to. There was nothing else really from the Danes, and we were not under pressure. I thought the midfield worked really, really hard. Chouameni, Rabiot, which we highlighted before the game. And then there's Griezmann. Me and Alan, before the game, we were just discussing it quickly, that this new role for him, in almost as an 8, as a hybrid 8 and 10. But just the way he fluidifies the game is fantastic. And because he works so hard, because this is the Atletico Madrid and Diego Simeone's school, he will always come and defend and tackle and recover the ball. And I think he's recovered 4 or 5 balls already in that first half. And he has become so important in that new formation that I think, again, apart from the fact that they haven't scored, there was a lot of positives so far.
A lot of positives for France. We'll have a bit more chat on that very shortly. We'll also update you with all the rest of the day's sport after the BBC News with Jill Mackenzie.
Take the World Cup with you. Qatar 2022.
On BBC Sounds, this is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The Commissioner of London Fire Brigade says it's likely some people will lose their jobs after a review found the organisation was institutionally misogynistic and racist. Andy Rowe says he's heartbroken and has promised change. London Mayor Sadiq Khan has echoed that.
This report has to be a watershed moment where we get rid of the institutional racism, homophobia and discrimination that exists in our fire service. It's possible to say we've got some wonderful firefighters, but there are serious problems in the fire brigade.
The Home Office says the death of a man who was held at the Manston Migrant Processing Centre in Kent may have been caused by diphtheria. He died in hospital last week. It's understood he got to the UK by crossing the Channel on a small boat. Several people are missing after a mudslide on the Italian island of Ischia. Heavy rains triggered a torrent of mud and debris, which swept away houses and dragged cars into the sea. Rail travel is being disrupted this weekend as train drivers at 11 companies have walked out. The strike action by members of the ASLEF union is part of a long-running row over pay. And videos posted on social media in China appear to show fresh protests against COVID restrictions after a fire in an apartment block which killed 10 people. Authorities in Urumqi have denied that the restrictions stopped people escaping the fire. Beijing is still pursuing its zero COVID policy.
This is a public service announcement.
Weekdays from 2.
It's time for Scott Mills on Radio 2.
Would you mind doing me a quick review?
You're doing brilliant. I'm enjoying you on Radio 2.
You're a very nice man.
Thank you very much. Every time this comes on Radio 2, I turn it right up.
The heads go in, the shoulders go in. I'm like bouncing around on the seat. Probably one of the world's most embarrassing mums because of your show.
Scott Mills on Radio 2.
Tell all your friends on that school run to turn Radio 2 on as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Scott Mills all the way.
Weekdays from 2.
Listen live on BBC Sound.
BBC 5 Live.
The FIFA World Cup, Qatar 2022 with Kelly Cates.
At 7 o'clock this evening, Argentina are looking to kickstart their World Cup campaign after an opening day defeat by Saudi Arabia. They take on Mexico. Full commentary of that one from 7 from the Lusail Stadium. 4 o'clock kickoff was France against Denmark, so we're back there for the second half very shortly, and we can bring you up to date on the big Rugby Union internationals taking place this evening. Let's get the latest, first of all, from Wales against Australia with Gareth Lewis.
Yeah, this is Wales is to win now. 34-18 they lead, 4 tries on top. Australia have narrowed the gap after a strong finish by Mark Nawang Hanetiwase. I'm glad we're not doing commentary this afternoon. So Wales then on course for the victory they need and they wanted. The big question though, bearing in mind Australia are without 14 players for this fixture this afternoon, how much does it ease the pressure on Wales head coach Wayne Pivac? 34-18 Wales lead, although Justin Tipuric, their captain, has just been sin-binned.
Gareth, thank you very much for that. Gareth Lewis keeping us across everything there, and we're getting ever closer to kick-off at Twickenham, where England will take on South Africa at 5:30. Chris Jones is there for us, and it's equally important for both sides, Chris.
It feels that way, doesn't it, Kelly? Both sides have had an up and down kind of November. South Africa have lost in Dublin and they've lost in Paris, but had a very impressive win against Italy last time out. England with that defeat by Argentina at the front of the month. They recovered against Japan, and that crazy game against New Zealand this time last weekend. For 60 minutes we thought, is this as bad as England have been under Eddie Jones? And then they pulled out the bag in the final 10, scored 3 great tries and had this place on its feet. England have said they want to get Twickenham bouncing, but this week not just for 10 minutes, for 80 plus.
Yeah, you called it a curate's egg on the podcast, and it's hard to predict because of that performance how England are going to turn up for this one against South Africa.
And that's the big question, Kelly. Was that final 10 minutes an outlier, and actually we should be focusing on the 60 or 70? When England did some good stuff, don't get me wrong, but countless times they got to the 22 and weren't able to execute. Or do you look at that final 10 and go, right, that's when England have turned a corner. That's the England team they keep promising they're going to be. That's England team that can explode into next year, into World Cup year, and make a real dart on that World Cup trophy. Hopefully we'll get some more answers after the 80 minutes this afternoon.
Eddie Jones has been joking that Rassie Erasmus might emulate Jose Mourinho by hiding in a laundry basket for this one, because he's been banned again over tweets about refereeing. What's been going on?
Well, you wouldn't put it past Erasmus to find his way into Twickenham, come what may, but he is banned from involvement with the Springbok squad on match day. This has been a saga going back 18 months. If you remember, he unleashed that extraordinary hour-long kind of diatribe against the officials after the first test of the Lions series in 2021. That got him a year ban. He came back from that ban and then was tweeting away after the Ireland game, tweeting away after the France game, and he's got a straight 2-game matchday ban from World Rugby. There is an update, Kelly. Erasmus and South African Rugby have released a statement today saying they met with World Rugby on Thursday. They had, quote, positive discussions, and they agreed, all parties apparently, that further dialogue was needed in terms of enhancing the process that operates between teams and match officials. That statement implies that no one's really at fault, and it's Erasmus and World Rugby who are to blame. But in reality, Erasmus has gone so rogue over the past 18 months. A ban was inevitable. Let's hope, though, this is a line in the sand, and after the game today, we're talking about the players rather than the officials.
Yes, further dialogue, just not on Twitter. Chris Jones there with the update. Thank you very much for that. And there's been a try at the match between Wales and Australia. Gareth Lewis.
Yeah, another try for Australia. It's that man again, Mark Nawaqanitawase, completely against the run of play. Justin Tipuric in the sin bin. Australia have pulled it back to a 9-point deficit. They're on top this past 5 minutes too, with just 9 minutes to go. Wales 34, Australia 25 from nowhere. It is suddenly a very, very nervy finish in Cardiff.
Oh, Gareth, that's exactly what they don't want. Thank you so much for joining us. Gareth will keep us up to date with everything that happens there. Meanwhile, in the FA Cup, it's Forest Green against Alvechurch, and Chris Coles is watching.
And Forest Green are into the third round of the FA Cup, Kelly. For the first time in 12 years, they've beaten non-league Alvechurch 2-1. Connor Wickham's penalty, Josh March's stooping header, a glorious Jed Abbey equaliser for Alvechurch, sandwiched in between. The final 20 minutes had to be carefully negotiated, with Forest Green reduced to 10 men. Don Bernard sent off for 2 yellow cards, 2 late challenges, 1 in each half. It did give the non-league side a lift, but they didn't take advantage, and their valiant run in the FA Cup ends in the second round. Forest Green have a place in Monday's draw, 2-1 winners over Alvechurch.
Thank you very much for that, Chris. Elsewhere, Chesterfield of the National League have beaten League 2 AFC Wimbledon 2-0. National League South Farnborough are drawing 1-1 at Wrexham, and you can follow all the scores on the BBC Sport website and app. Also to come on 5 Live tonight, there's live commentary of Dillian White's heavyweight fight at Wembley against the unbeaten American Jermaine Franklin. That will be in Stephen Nolan's show, which starts around about 10:15. Tonight, though, we're going to have second half commentary this afternoon of France against Denmark, followed by Argentina against Mexico. Final game of the day. Argentina trying to get their World Cup up and running. Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton are our commentary team for that one. Guys, you'll be delighted to know I'm coming to see you at the Lusail Stadium. What can I expect?
You can expect a pretty breathtaking view. It's the stadium, Kelly, we were in for the Brazil game the other night. The atmosphere in here for that one was incredible. It's absolutely enormous, holds almost 90,000 fans, loads and loads of Argentina fans in particular already inside the stadium. And I'm slightly worried, Kelly, that Chris's head might explode during the commentary, because he's done about 3 sheets of A4 on the possible permutations in this group. The key one, Kelly, and this is what makes this so interesting, so exciting tonight, the real jeopardy of it is if Argentina lose the game, they are out of the World Cup. We think it may well be Lionel Messi's last World Cup. Tonight he equals Diego Maradona, the great Maradona, for number of World Cup appearances if he starts the game. We haven't got the team sheet as yet. He's 1 goal behind him in terms of World Cup goals. Crucially, he's 1 World Cup win behind him as well. And I think you could speculate, and this is only speculation, if Argentina were to lose this game, would he definitely start in the final game if nothing was on it against Poland? Could it be Messi's very last dance?
That's speculation, isn't it?
It absolutely is, Chris.
And that's what you'll be doing post-match should Argentina be not progressing to the group stages if they lose this game. But as Ali was saying, there are so many possibilities in this group because Argentina were beaten so unexpectedly.
QPR players. So, I've got to say, if you're a QPR fan, you're looking at him like as a bit of a turncoat if he goes up and gets the Rangers job. But, he knows the club inside out, made a bit of an impact under Steven Gerrard, as a coach there. So, I mean, it's one to watch. But my biggest take on it, if you're a QPR fan, I think you're going to be really disappointed in Michael Beale if he goes up and talks to Rangers.
Yeah, your focus this evening, though, very much on Argentina against Mexico. Chris Sutton and Alistair Bruce Ball from the Lusail Stadium. Mark Chapman will bring you coverage of that. Julien Laurent is watching France against Denmark. No goals as yet, but plenty of chances for France in that game. John Murray was saying in commentary, Jules, that Kylian Mbappe was so frustrating. There was the good, the bad and the indifferent from him. It's almost as though he's got maybe frustrated, maybe even bored and uninterested as the game's gone on without him being able to impose himself on it.
Yeah, it's incredible, really. I mean, we said, remember before the Australia game, that he wanted this to be his stage, and the problem, I think sometimes he wants it too much, so he tries too hard in a sense, because he wants to make it happen every time he touches the ball, which is not really possible. So at times he makes the wrong decisions, too many times maybe. But then you also know that the one time he will make the right decision, something will happen. So it is frustrating at times. He's still only 23. That will come with age and experience, I guess. But again, he has to come through him, because I think he's, again, the most important asset that we have going forward.
The thoughts there of Julien Laurent, French football journalist and subject of a Netflix documentary. Thank you very much for joining us, Jules. Good to hear your thoughts. I'm sure we'll hear from you at full time as well. Thank you very much to Julien. Time now for the second half to get underway with Alan Shearer and John Murray.
Thank you, Kelly. I feel honoured, don't you?
Well, I feel disappointed that the cameras weren't for us.
Well, Jules is Netflix man and all that sort of thing, all the rage. Right, second half underway. France 0, Denmark 0. Denmark have made a change. They've taken off the centre forward, Cornelius, and brought on Martin Braithwaite, the former Middlesbrough and Barcelona man. It's a small club that, isn't it? Now playing for Espanyol. I think, he had to work very hard, Cornelius, but I think the other factor isn't it, that Cornelius was on a yellow card, and there was that challenge, wasn't there, in the second half. You do not want to go down to 10 men against this lot.
No, and I also think he'll give them more energy and the ability to run in behind.
Which is what France are doing now, and the ball is being carried forward by Dembele, who's taken it a long way, cuts in field, gives it to Mbappe on the left-hand side. He lifts it into the penalty area. Rabiot's in there as well, couldn't get it down. There were defenders in there in the white shirts, and Denmark have been able to work it away. So no changes for France at half-time. Lloris in goal, back four of Koundé, Varane, Upamecano and Theo Hernandez. Then Tchouaméni and Rabiot centrally, Dembele on the right, Mbappe on the left, and Griezmann in this free roll that we've been talking about all evening, with Giroud up front, Olivier Giroud, who needs one goal to become, on his own, France's record scorer. And Denmark, having made that change, Schmeichel in goal, a back four of Andersen, Christensen and Nelson, with Rasmus Christensen on the right, Joachim Mæhle on the left, Højbjerg and Eriksen in the middle, and then Lindstrom and Damsgaard in the wide areas, with substitute Braithwaite up front. Australia have scored in Cardiff. It's a converted try. Wales 34, Australia 32, with 5 minutes to go. So Wales 34, Australia 32, and not long left. England South Africa kicks off at Twickenham at 5:30 UK time, and Chris Jones will keep us updated on that. 0-0 here. France 0, Denmark 0. Remember, France need to win to confirm their place in the last 16. Ball back to Rabiot, but Rabiot's going to be dispossessed. He is. And it's a battling Højbjerg who takes it away from him and then passes it forward, but Lindstrom won't reach that. Defender Hernandez was there to see it back to Lloris. Denmark start again with Højbjerg. Eriksen helps it forward towards the newly arrived Braithwaite. Then the ball's played to the left-hand side to Mæhle. Then a little ball back to Eriksson, finding the space. Eriksson's ball, that's an excellent ball in, but beyond Brathwaite and through and beyond the 6-yard box and the far post for a goal kick.
That's a really, really clever ball from Christian Eriksen there. He just picks his head up and whips that in with his left foot, and he's crying out for someone to get on the end of that. And Brathwaite, who's just come on at half-time, wasn't alive to it, was he? It was an excellent ball in.
It was classic Christian Eriksen, that, wasn't it? You know, sometimes football can be so simple. And there, Eriksson just found the space.
Well, a cross like that deserves someone to be on the end of it, and he must be asking to himself there, saying, come on, there's not much more I can do there. I've put the ball into the danger area. Get on the end of it.
France 0, Denmark 0. 5 Live and BBC Sounds, as we heard from Ali and Chris. Argentina, Mexico coming up. That's at 7 o'clock UK time. And more live sport after that, because the Dillian White Jermaine Franklin fight is live on 5 Live tonight from Wembley at 10 o'clock. So almost from dawn to dusk. Here come Denmark through the middle with the run. It is from Lindstrom, but he just runs into blue shirts on the edge of the penalty area and loses possession. But here is the blonde, short blonde-haired Christensen on the right-hand side, winning a throw-in off Hernandez. Throw in 5 or 6 yards away from the corner flag, takes it quickly, runs up, gets the ball into the penalty area, but France win it back, Rabiot wins it back, and then Griezmann lifts it forward to Mbappe, and Mbappe with that golden number 10 on his back is away with the ball down the left-hand side. Defenders are with him, 2 of them. Denmark have got with the great man, and Mbappe is crossing into Dembele, who lifts it back. Mbappe was almost in. Oh, the lightness of touch there was brilliant, but Schmeichel was able to come out and grab it on the edge of the 6-yard box.
It was a really clever play. First of all, the pass from Griezmann, the first time pass into Mbappe, which sets him off down this left-hand side, and he cuts in on his right foot, and he's looking for some support, and Dembele comes all the way across, and he fizzes it into him. And of course, he tries to play that little 1-2, but just that much pace on the ball that Schmeichel comes out and collects it.
Feels like a real treat, this, actually, with some of the talent that is out there. And you know, it feels like, even though we've not seen any goals tonight, it feels like they're in the mood tonight, and some of those touches in there from Mbappe and Dembele, while Eriksson at the other end, as we mentioned. Here is Brathwaite through the middle. Brathwaite, the number 9, plays it into Varane, who's chasing after it. He won't reach it. It bounces away from him. It's like watching a fielder who couldn't get to the ball that was crossing the boundary rope. It's a corner.
It's good play, that. Really good play from Brathwaite. He tries to get the ball into the run, and Lindstrom, who's running in behind him, but takes that deflection off Varane, and they get a corner out of it.
Yeah, corner. So not the perfect metaphor, cricket, when you're commentating on France-Denmark, but I'm sure that listeners at home will know what I mean. The corner from the right. Eriksson to take this. Be quite the shock if Denmark took the lead. Set piece chance. Eriksson stands off the field. They're yet to score their first goal at this World Cup. Eriksson driving it in deep, this one towards the back post, and it's headed across by Christensen, but Lloris is able to come and catch it comfortably above the head of Brathwaite, who pretty much stayed on the ground, actually, and the French goalkeeper had the ball safely in those black gloves of his.
Yeah, there was no trouble there for him. The header at the far post was too high, and it invited the goalkeeper to come and get it, and that's exactly what Lloris did. Problem over.
That's the voice of Alan Shearer with us, special guest on 5 Live for this match. I presume we'll be hearing you as the tournament continues.
I haven't been called special for a while, John.
Special.
Just expecting guest. I wasn't expecting a special.
Only special people are called special.
I like working with you. It's fine.
You and Jose Mourinho. You're the special one. And Kevin Keegan, of course, Special K himself.
Absolutely.
France 0, Denmark 0, as France play the ball back deep into their own half. I suppose, which one are you doing tomorrow then? Japan, Costa Rica, Belgium, Morocco, Croatia, Canada, or Spain, Germany?
Spain, Germany.
I thought you might be. Yes, I'm there.
It's a big one.
Yeah, we've got a special guest for that tomorrow night. Peter Schmeichel is with us tomorrow night. Ball played forward for France. Griezmann was way offside. I don't know why he kept running, frankly. Denmark stepped up, and it's a free kick to Denmark halfway inside their own half. So Denmark still looking for, as I say, their first goal. They've got their first point from the draw against Tunisia, but it would be nervous going into their final match, Denmark, against Australia, who I imagine will have taken great heart from what they were able to do today to get their win. So that is all on Wednesday night. And Denmark coming forward with Mæhle on the left-hand side, but just runs into Koundé. And so Dembele plays it forward, looking for the run of Mbappe, but Schmeichel was quickly onto that. It's kind of telegraphed by Dembele on the halfway line, actually, and even though Mbappe used his pace, Schmeichel was quickly out. That was another incident in the first half, by the way, when Andreas Christensen pulled back Mbappe when he was running forward from the centre circle, but there were defenders either side, so it was just a yellow card. Here's Brathwaite playing it back into his own half.
Just did that run, he just comes off that left-hand side, Mbappe, and because he's got the freedom to go basically where he wants, he actually ran past Giroud and then looked to get in behind. I think he should do that more often, because that's a way that I think France can get in behind, with the ability of Griezmann and his passes.
France 0, Denmark 0. Very warm in the stadium. It's almost as warm as any stadium I've been in yet, but I just feel maybe the effect of the air conditioning coming into play. As Eriksson now, short hair, looks up, looks to his left, gives it to his right, and then the pass in towards the edge of the area for Brathwaite, who takes it away. It was Damsgaard who popped up on the right-hand side, and Brathwaite has been able, with that turn, as the challenge came in, to win another corner.
And that's what he's given them already in the 9 or 10 minutes we've been playing in the second half. There's just been 2 or 3 occasions where he's had that threat and that pace and that ability to run in behind. Just gives the French defenders something else to think about.
31 years old now, Brathwaite, coming on as a substitute at half-time. Eriksson with this corner then, from the right. Just waiting to take it, and still he waits. Now, the corner from Eriksson, this also to the back post, but Rabiot was able to get there. It's helped back into the box, taken down by Brathwaite. In comes the challenge, double deflection, but the offside flag is up, and I actually think everyone in the penalty area knew that it was coming.
They helped Brathwaite then, because his touch was terrible.
So it's a free kick to France.
Clearly offside he was, 2 or 3 yards offside. It was a good job, because he tried to take the touch with his right foot and it bounced about 3 yards off it.
Yeah, you know what I was saying about some of the delightful touches? That wasn't one of them. Tchouaméni now playing it to the right-hand side. And the ball in field from Koundé just presents possession back to Denmark. And now Christensen on the right-hand side. The run is continued, and that's a decent cross from the right-hand side from Damsgaard, but it was blocked, actually. I thought it was going to fall behind Upamecano, but he was able to check himself. Now Griezmann wins the ball back from Christensen, just speed of foot, really. Mbappe turns, and he's got away from Anderson. Brilliant from Mbappe, approaching the penalty area now. Left foot shot. Schmeichel's able to just push it up. It was just above and to his right. Just got his gloves up there. He almost let it hit his gloves and deflect wide.
Superb play from Mbappe. Right inside his own half. The touch to turn the defender, then another touch to actually get away from him. And he's waiting for Giroud to run in behind him, which he does. And he's hoping that it might just open up to go on his left foot. And he has that shot. Superb pace to get him into that position to have the shot at goal.
It doesn't get much better than that, I think, watching football at the highest level, to see something like that, a moment like that, from a player like that, who is just
glides along, doesn't he, with ease.
Corner, Griezmann to take it to the near post, doesn't beat the first man. Christensen was able just to watch it onto his forehead and nod it out of play. There's been a dramatic end to the Autumn International in Cardiff. Gareth Lewis, tell us all.
Would you believe it? Wales 34, Australia 39. Wales on top for 50 minutes, fell apart in the last half an hour. Lachlan Lonergan with a try that might well bring an end to Wayne Pivac's role as Wales head coach. This was Australia's second. Wales 34, Australia 39.
Australia winning it at the end. What a week for Wales. What they need is Tuesday night, a big win to put everything right. Join us for that on the BBC. France with the ball at the back, still 0-0 here with just over half an hour to play. Denmark have played really well tonight. I mean, France have really had their moments, but Denmark have stood up to it. They've not let themselves be rattled, not panicked. And it is France with the ball on the right-hand side. Griezmann plays it back into his own half, and France start again. They're another well-coached team, which is what Gareth Southgate said about the United States last night and Greg Berhalter, and I think that's another part of the story from last night.
I think you've got to accept that with the ability that France have in forward positions, you can't keep them out all of the time. And when they've been caught out defensively, they've had the goalkeeper to rely on. So I think the manager will be pretty pleased with the way they've handled themselves and how difficult they've made it for France.
As Tchouameni looks up and plays the ball out to the right-hand side. Dembele, he gets it down. Now running at the Danish defence. On his left foot, plays it across. Mbappe went for a flick on the edge of the box, but there were two men there, and between them they were able to block it. It was Christensen and Højbjerg, but he was trying the extravagant there. Mbappe came to him. It was one of those flicks with the one foot behind the other, with the inside of his heel, and it nearly came off. If it had, I mean, it would have been a classic. It would have been Bergkamp-like, actually.
It was such a clever little flick. You could see what he's trying to do.
Here's one for Griezmann. Chests it down, he's away from Nelson, and he blazes the shot over the bar. And it lands in that little entrance area that is halfway up the lower tier of the stand and rattles around in there underneath the sign that says Doha.
Oh, well, what a run and what a pass. Two superb things that happened, but the third one, it was awful. He tries to hit it on the half volley with his left foot, but he's leaning back and it goes about 20 yards over the bar, doesn't it? But the pass and the run were magnificent.
Griezmann, who has not scored in his last 9 internationals. In fact, 10 when you add the first game at this World Cup. So this is the 11th. And that was a glorious opportunity as the ball's played up towards the halfway line, but it bounces back for Denmark. Now France could be in business. Hernandez forward towards Mbappe. Mbappe now into the penalty area. Back to Hernandez. Hernandez angles it back. Mbappe is there to score. Drives it in from the angle. And France lead by 1-0. Absolutely brilliant on the breakaway. And finally, they find a way through this Danish defence and make it France 1, Denmark 0. And the champions are on course for the last 16.
Well, what a goal it was, and no surprise that it comes from the superstar Mbappe. Again, he gets the ball in his own half and he drives forward. This time he gets the support from Hernandez, and Hernandez runs in behind, and he has a little look around to say, okay, where are you? And he puts it into his path. What a goal. It was perfection. The little pass in from Mbappe, then he follows it, and he tucks it away past Schmeichel.
I did wonder about offside when Mbappe initially played it through for Hernandez. And we've not restarted yet.
It just takes a little deflection as well in front of Kasper Schmeichel there, because he's standing up expecting it to go to him, and that little deflection just takes it past him. But it's going to be tight with Hernandez because the way he runs in behind.
It's not said it on the screen yet that they're checking for this. Play's not restarted. There's been a change as well. I think Giroud is coming off. Yes, he is. So Didier Deschamps, having seen his team take the lead, is going to substitute Olivier Giroud and bring on Marcus Thuram again, just as he did in the first match. And the goal stands. As far as I can see it, there was... If they've had a look at that, there was no indication that he was offside. So the goal stands. Well finished by Mbappe from the angle on the left-hand side from what, maybe 8 or 9 yards or so. Little deflection, as Alan Shearer said. And France lead Denmark by 1-0. And Mbappe has scored in both France's matches at this World Cup.
Well, John, I was lucky enough to be in the stadium a few days ago when France played Australia and got a close-up, another view of Mbappe then, and his movement and his technique and his running with and without the ball. I said earlier, he's almost impossible to stop. When he's running at you as a defender and he's got grass to attack in behind, the way he stops you, stops the defender, then that gives him that extra 3 or 4 yards to get away from his marker, and that's exactly what he did again there, and great support from his left back in Hernandez, the way he plays that little 1-2 with him into the space, and he finishes it off really clever.
And the thing is that breakaway, and you have to give praise as well, I think, to Tchouaméni, wasn't it, almost in his own right back position, as France were struggling to get the ball away. Tchouaméni took control, played the ball into space with a lovely pass with the outside of his boot, and from that point on, what happened was that for one of the first times in the match, Denmark didn't have numbers back, and France therefore were able to eventually find a way through.
That was because they had a little bit more of the game, a little bit more of the ball, and they felt, and their confidence was growing, that they could actually put and commit more men forward. In doing that, they've left themselves wide open at the back when they've lost that ball, and they've been punished for it.
Well, there had to be goal or goals in this match. This couldn't be another 0-0.
Well, I said that before the game, and I was thinking, goodness me, I hope someone scores here. You might not invite me back.
But you're special. France leading Denmark by 1-0. And it's a throw-in for France to the halfway line. Thuram chests it off, and Mbappe plays it over the top. Thuram on the chase. Oh, that might have been a foul, as the defender, it was Højbjerg, actually leaned into him, and Thuram actually tried to keep his feet, which probably meant he didn't get the free kick.
It's a good play off Højbjerg. He knew exactly what he's doing. He just nudged him that little bit, didn't he, to put him off his stride, and that's exactly what happened. If he didn't, he was away clean through on goal.
Fair enough to make that change. Didier Deschamps decide, they've got the lead, they've got their noses in front, and Olivier Giroud at the age of 36 straight off the field.
Yeah, absolutely. He knows he can't play every game and every minute of every game. He hasn't been at his best this evening. 1 or 2 balls have gone up to him and bounced it off him, and then the manager's thought, no, I'm going to change this, even though we've gone 1-0 up, and got every right to do that.
So Marcus Thuram is on for his 5th cap, son of Lilian, the famous Lilian Thuram, and he has yet to score for France. So he's taken the place of the man who scored, well, more goals than everyone else apart from Thierry Henry for France. And incidentally, on that list, that is Mbappe now to 30. So 30 goals in now 61 internationals. So he is currently 21 behind the joint record.
No pressure for Marcus Thuram then, and having a father like he did, and then replacing Olivier Giroud up front, France's joint record goal scorer.
That's lovely play by Lindstrom, who plays the ball into the French penalty area. They're struggling to get it away. It actually hit Varane, bounced down, could have gone anywhere, and they were fortunate that it fell to a blue shirt. And Denmark suddenly trying to up it again. Brathwaite putting himself about and keeping possession, though. That's important for Denmark. And they go back towards the halfway line. So Denmark losing are facing the situation whereby, talk about this win, if it were to be a win taking France through, Denmark would be left with 1 point after 2 matches, and up against Australia on Wednesday for a place, as they do come forward again, though. The ball's driven across by Lindstrom into the penalty area, blocked by a defender, comes back to him, but either the ball was out of play, in fact it was off the defender.
Again, Upamenko gets that ball away. Corner, though.
Eriksson has wandered across there to take it. It feels like with that goal that they've conceded, really realisation has dawned here. Denmark, the situation could look quite serious for them tonight. Eriksson across. Oh, header from Andersen, and it's got it in! They've got the equaliser! And it's Andreas Christensen at the back post who arrived. One central defender nodded it on, and Andreas Christensen arrived there at the back post to head it past Lloris, and Denmark have made it 1-1.
It's a really clever work set piece, because the two that they had 3 or 4 minutes ago, they both went to the far post and France dealt with them really comfortably. But this time it's whipped into the near post, it gets the flick on, and all it needs is someone to get on the end of it, and Christensen does that and puts it in the back of the net. What a response from Denmark.
Yeah, great delivery from Eriksson, and the header on from Joachim Andersen, and just stooping. Rabiot with a very high foot there actually, but he went in with his head, just like central defenders don't mind doing, in amongst the boot, and headed it in from 6 yards, and it flashed past Lloris. So France won, Denmark won, and the French lead lasted for approximately 7 minutes.
Well, we said Rabiot let Lindstrom run off him 3 or 4 minutes earlier to get that corner, and it's his man again that scores. Christensen runs off him as well and gets to the ball before him. Good response though, isn't it, from Denmark?
Wasn't it just? So 1-1, France 1, Denmark 1, quarter of the match to go. After that, we'll be across to Lusail actually tonight. Not had the pleasure of going there yet at the World Cup. So Alistair Bruce-Ball and Chris Sutton with the commentary. Tim Vickery and Guillaume Balaguer will be part of the programme tonight as well. But France coming forward, Dembele into the box, running freely and then running into white and red. And Denmark are able to clear it up towards the halfway line to Brathwaite, who's headed it out for a throw-in on the far side under pressure. So 2 goals now. Mbappe for France, Christensen for Denmark. It's almost fitting, isn't it, that Mbappe scores for France with everything he's got and all of the skill and the talent, and then the rugged Christensen heads it in from a set piece at the other end.
And a well-worked set piece at that.
Well-worked set piece.
It was really noticeable, actually. The 2 that they had beforehand went to the far post. Didn't get anything with them. This time near post and the flick on goal.
Ball from the centre circle from Tchouameni. Dembele has not given this up, and rightly so. And he gets there with Andersen, puts it out of play. Andersen gets a little low 5 from Christensen for the way that he chased that, basically. And now the ball bounces back into the area for Schmeichel to come and pick up. As I say, Kasper Schmeichel down there. Peter Schmeichel is here tonight, I think, working for TV, and he'll be with us on 5 Live. Well, he was on breakfast this morning, Peter Schmeichel, just before I went on talking about England, and he'll be with us for Spain-Germany, which is the late match tomorrow night, which I have to say, I cannot wait for that. That is absolutely fascinating.
Well, if the result goes against Germany in the earlier game, Japan win, then they have to go out and they have to beat Spain.
Well, it's entirely possible, as Ali said earlier, that Argentina could go out tonight. That is possible. And Germany could go out tomorrow night. Here's Mbappe. France aren't going anywhere. Ball played to the left-hand side. Mbappe goes one way, then the other, curls it into the danger area, but too close to Schmeichel, who's able to come forward and just grab the ball into his green shirt. Blonde hair flowing, and he's got it safely near the penalty spot.
He just works that ball onto his right foot, Mbappe, and he's hoping that Thuram just gets across, because he's ready to whip it in. He's just wanting him to run across the front of Schmeichel, but he didn't. He goes straight into Schmeichel's hands.
We'll just be about to get underway, I think, at Twickenham, where it's England against South Africa. So we will let you know what happens there during the course of the next couple of hours. I see Denmark are going to make another change. Kasper Dolberg, who started the first match against Tunisia, is going to come on as a substitute next. But here's Mæhle on the left-hand side. Mæhle rolls it back centrally to Eriksson. Christian Eriksen then square to Højbjerg. And now all the way back to the halfway line again to Andersen. Christensen on the left-hand side. Rasmus Christensen, that is. And Denmark are keeping possession. So it is France who've had to step off back into their own half. And Denmark played out to the left-hand side to Victor Nelson. Didier Deschamps comes and steps forward. Must have thought, yes, on the way now after that exciting Mbappe goal. But it is Denmark who have very quickly found a way back into the match. And Eriksson gives it to Mæhle. And now a run down into the full-back position by Damsgaard. And then across for the shot that is saved by Lloris. Diving down to his left. Big chance. Right in the middle of the penalty area for Jesper Lindstrom, who shot too close to Lloris who was able to make the save just down to his left.
Well, as soon as they've scored the goal, France have just sat back. They thought the game was over. That's what their attitude would suggest, and they've been put under some real pressure from Denmark, and that was a really good chance from Lindstrøm. Should be in the back of the net.
It should. Great response from Denmark to going a goal down. Denmark, who have already, remember, beaten France twice this year in the Nations League, and France are finding it tough against them again. Another corner. They scored from the last corner from this side, remember. Eriksen, this to the back post, but onto a French head. He was able to get it away. It was Varane underneath it. Back to Eriksen again. Eriksen plays a low ball in from the right. He's fortunate there. It's bounced back to him, off Thuram, and Eriksen goes centrally, and he shoots, and it hits Tchouameni on the edge of the penalty area, and Denmark have got it back in the centre circle. Excellent play from Denmark.
Yeah, very good play. They've just sat back, France. They thought the game was won, and Denmark was thinking, no, we're not having any of that. And to their credit, they've stepped it up a gear, and they're creating chances and looking good and looking a different team all of a sudden.
Double change for France coming. They made the change. Damsgaard is off, and Dolberg came on for him. So that is the number 12, Kasper Dolberg, who's on loan at Sevilla. And France, this double change, France are going to bring on Kingsley Coman and also Konate of Liverpool, Ibrahima Konate. So it is Raphael Varane after his return to fitness. So Varane is on at the back for Konate is on at the back for France, and Kingsley Coman comes on for
Dembele.
Oh, well done. Thanks, Alan. So Coman, number 20 on the right-hand side. France playing the ball out from the back, and the score is France 1, Denmark 1. So Didier Deschamps feeling clearly the way that the play has gone since France scored the opening goal and were then pegged back, that it needs that refreshing in these sweltering conditions inside Stadium 974. And the ball is with France halfway inside their own penalty area, and Tchouameni turns and plays it through to Rabiot, and now back with Tchouameni again, who goes for a driving pass across field. Christensen heads it back into the central area. Yeah, attendance, by the way, 42,860 is the official attendance here tonight. Griezmann, little ball towards the edge of the penalty area. France with the pass to the left-hand side to Mbappe. Mbappe now, well played. Christensen is able to put the tackle in, and it's behind, and it is a corner to France from the left.
Good play, good defending that is. It makes sense bringing Konate on for Varane with his lack of game time in recent weeks.
So it is a corner from the left-hand side. Griezmann to take it. This match, 15 minutes to go. It is. This is fascinatingly poised. Don't go anywhere. Or if you are going somewhere, take BBC Sounds with you. Griezmann with the corner for France. An outswing out. Well done, Anderson. Joachim Anderson got up above everyone else and headed it away to Coman for France. Now the ball on the right-hand side. Mbappe is out there. Oh, lovely change of feet. That was almost quicker than I could keep up with there, as he went from one foot to the other and played it into the penalty area, but Denmark kept up with it and were able to head it away to comparative safety. France 1, Denmark 1. And Griezmann has popped up on the left-hand side here. Plays it infield. Tchouameni, Griezmann, then back into the centre circle. Konate, having started the opening match, Ibrahima Konate, but he's seen relatively little football this season, remember, with the injuries that he's had for Liverpool. And now it's back to Rabiot, and Denmark have dropped right off into their defensive third. Still France in possession. Coman on the right-hand side in the orange boots. In comes the challenge from Nelson on him. The ball rolls over the white line and behind, and it's a throw into France. They're looking to get this game won, but they take the throw in quickly, and now Rabiot on the overlap into the penalty area, played it across, but the defender was there, Andreas Christensen, to just coolly put it behind for another French corner from the right this time.
Really well worked down that right-hand side. Rabiot give and go, and he gets the ball back and times his run to perfection. Then you're just looking for that last bit of quality, the toughest bit, to put that ball and make sure someone gets on the end of it. But Christensen, good defending, he blocks it. France corner.
France 1, Denmark 1. BBC Radio 5 Live at Qatar 2022. Corner, in it comes, and it's headed wide at the back post. A stretching header. I think a defender at the near post might have got a touch on that. Tchouameni threw himself at it, diving header at the back post, and headed it wide. Might have clipped the outside of the post as well. No, it hit the defender, Mela.
It just comes off Mela, doesn't it? He finds himself about 4 yards out with a free header, but Mela just gets his block on it, hits his shoulder. It's going in the back of the net.
Great block. I mean, there have been some blocks from Danish defenders in this match, and that was right up there with them. I'm not sure he knew that much about it. So it's another corner. Griezmann to the back post. That's headed away by Christensen. Comes out for France again. Oh, another lovely piece of skill, and the cross is in, and it's headed wide by the right back Koundé, and it is deflected wide. It's another corner. This is a third consecutive French corner. Griezmann, one from the right, one from the left, now another one. Denmark are under severe pressure.
His delivery is superb from the left side and the right side. The way he whips the ball and makes it very, very difficult for defenders to head away.
So Griezmann goes across there. This is at the end where all of the French tricolours are, and they are being twirled in big numbers. And Griezmann, in it comes. Schmeichel comes and gets a punch on it, just sort of rather daintily punched it up and away out of the penalty area. Then it's played back in from the left-hand side, and from the far side, Rabiot went for it with a kind of scissor overhead kick, but he hit it wide of the far post, high and wide, and it's behind, and a goal kick to Denmark.
Well, that's been a theme of the night for France. Is that any opportunity they've got the ball into the box, whether it's from the left or the right, they've just thought, get it in there. And Rabiot was at the far post there. Bit of an acrobatic one, wasn't it?
Some sad news has just been announced, Alan. Sorry to say that the former Scotland and British Lions rugby union player Doddy Weir has died. He was 52, Doddy Weir. As you might know, he was diagnosed with motor neuron disease in 2017. So the sad news for all of his friends and family that Doddy Weir has sadly died. But what an absolute inspiration he has been in the later years of his life. I have a feeling, Alan, that you will have known him well.
Yeah, and you, and R.I.P. big man, and send our condolences to all his family. What a man.
Yeah.
What a family, what they've done.
Absolutely incredible. As Denmark come forward, ball in from the right that is swept wide by Brathwaite, arriving on it on the edge of the 6-yard box. Could chance that for Denmark, but I think you can just imagine the tributes that there will be being paid from all over the world to Doddy Weir, and we will have more on that later. And our rugby union correspondent Chris Jones, of course, is at Twickenham watching England against South Africa, so we'll hear more from Chris, who will be rounding it all up, everything that everyone's saying about the great Doddy Weir. Sad news.
And of course the great work that he's done in raising awareness for MND, both him and his good mate Rob Burrow. What a sad day.
Very, very sad. 10 minutes to go here. France 1, Denmark 1. It's just a game, this, isn't it, Alan, that we're watching here? Feels like it means the world, but it is just a game. Tchouameni has taken a bang in centre field, and so we'll have a stoppage now. Commentary to come later on Argentina-Mexico. That's from 7 o'clock UK time with Alistair Bruce-Ball and Chris Sutton. And then, as I say, the Dillian White-Jermaine Franklin fight live from Wembley after 10 o'clock tonight. Tchouameni has stayed down, actually. He's sitting up. He's okay.
He just clashed with his teammate, didn't he, Rabiot?
Yeah.
They both sort of ran into each other, and he got the worst of it.
So as it is, France 1, Denmark 1. This group would certainly not be done yet. France's final match on Wednesday against Tunisia, where Tunisia will have to win that. Right, it's a little bit like the England-Wales game on Tuesday night. Wales, it's a must-win game for Wales, that one, and that will be a must-win game for Tunisia against the world champions. But that group, with this scoreline, that will go to the final night. And Tchouameni is okay, he's received treatment, and he's trotting back onto the field. 6 minutes or so to go. Denmark in possession, and Højbjerg plays it out towards the far side. Then it finds its way back centrally to Eriksson, and Eriksson turns, just taps it out to the left-hand side to Nelson, Victor Nelson. Infield, Andreas Christensen. High ball now to the right-hand side, Rasmus Christensen. Christensen to Christensen, one with a C, one with a K. And then his ball down the line, looking for the run of Lindstrom down into the full-back position. But that was dealt with very well, actually, Upamecano. And the ball is behind, and it is a goal kick to France.
Lindstrom's not going to win that battle, is he? Upamecano.
Yeah, that is... I mean, he's quite willowy, isn't he, Lindstrom? There's not much meat on him. As the ball is played forward by France, but chested down by Nelson. And Denmark will start again from inside their own half. Joachim Andersen just looks up, fair hair bobbing, uses Højbjerg. Højbjerg just turns and angles it back. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg with his French connections in his family. Big night for him, this. Now the ball on the right-hand side. Christensen's running at Rabiot one way and the other. Christensen's ball in, actually hits a defender on the edge of the penalty area and then bounces out. And a shot from distance from Højbjerg, but he pulled that wide from, well, over 25 yards out, and it is a goal kick. And Denmark are going to make another change, and it is the Danish... obviously he's a Danish midfielder, the Brentford midfielder Christian Norgard coming onto the field, and he's going to replace Lindstrom, who was just involved in that latest attack. So Lindstrom off and Norgard coming on. I think that's a clear indication from Kasper Hjulmand about where we are in the game. Forward player coming off and Christian Norgard coming on in there, in between Højbjerg. In fact, Eriksson just being shifted. We have 5 minutes to play plus added time. France with it on the right-hand side. The ball is played over the top, and Coleman back onto his left foot. In fact, he leaves it for Griezmann. This could be dangerous. Griezmann's ball in. Mbappe is there at the back post. He scores again, and he runs away, hands apart. Mbappe jumps over the advertising boards in amongst all of the photographers and runs to all of the French tricolours behind the goal there. What a star he is. But there was the ball in from Griezmann, really, that made that. Schmeichel could do nothing about it, and France are back in front, 2-1.
And it was the run of Coleman, the way he just goes short and then spins and then it gets the ball and he's running into the space. Griezmann backs him up and says, no, leave the ball, I'll put the ball in, I'll cross it. And he had the quality, and there's that man again, Mbappe, at the far post just to tuck it away. What a goal, what a brilliant run and cross.
That's ominous for all golden boot chasers. Mbappe scores his second goal of the game, his third goal of this World Cup, and this is only the second match. Timed his run perfectly almost.
Yeah, it is going to be a really tight one, but what about the cross? And the run from Coleman makes it all as well before you know that. Just a few seconds beforehand, he just managed to get across the defender and sort of nudge it in with his right thigh there. Mbappe at that far post. But the run from Coleman, he goes short and then the defender's stupid enough to go with him, which then creates the space in behind, and that's where the cross comes from, because Griezmann backs him up. And as I said about the quality, whether it's from the left-hand side or the right-hand side, and no surprise, it's another cross from France. They've put so many in there tonight, and it's been successful for them.
Yeah, as Julien Laurent was telling us before the game, and as you might have seen for yourself from the first match, the Australia game, this role that Griezmann's been given, kind of roving number 10 role, you know, that he can cause some damage in that position. He has done in this game, and that was the delivery. I mean, it was almost unstoppable when Mbappe was there. I mean, he was at a yard out, something like that, and as Alan says, sort of just jumped at the ball. It hit him on the upper right thigh, and Schmeichel on the goal line couldn't do anything about it. It was in the net.
He's just a superstar, isn't he? He can score all sorts of goals. I mean, that's a scruffy goal there from a yard or two out. That's fine. You don't get 2 for scoring one from about 30 yards and beating 3 players. That to me would mean more than having a volley from the edge of the box or whatever it may be. It's a scrappy goal, but at least he's in and around the 6-yard box to get those goals.
Well, time's running out. We're in the 88th minute. Denmark have already come from a goal down to make it 1-1. Now they're 2-1 down. I'm not sure they've got it in them to come up with another one, but let's see. You know, you cannot underestimate this Danish team. They've got bags of spirit, but they've not got bags of time in this match. Andersen, little ball forward. Norgard, one of the recently arrived substitutes. In fact, I'm not sure he touched the ball by the time France had scored their second goal. Back to Christensen on the right-hand side. Now Andersen, he's going to try a shot. It's deflected to the edge of the penalty area where Coman takes it down. And now Kingsley Coman is carrying it forward. Mbappe wants it. Mbappe wants it. He's on the hat-trick, but Coman didn't pass the ball. He was almost hopping up and down in anticipation. Come on, give me the ball, pass it. Here he is now, he has got it. He runs away from Christensen, who tried to take him over at thigh height, but he wasn't going down there, Mbappe. And then there was a couple of step overs for good measure, but Norgard had arrived on the scene, so he goes back into his own half.
I don't see a weakness in his game. Described him as a superstar. He's got incredible talent. Whatever you want, the touch or the technique, the left foot or the right foot, the spring in the air, the ability to finish it off, the ability to get in and score the great goals as well as the scrappy goals. I don't see a weakness. He's fantastic. Great to watch.
It's Allez Le Bleu time inside the stadium here next to the dock. Stadium 974, the attractively named stadium next to the Gulf. And as they're singing Allez Le Bleu, Didier Deschamps, who's going to make another substitution. Youssouf Fofana is going to come into the midfield, the Monaco man. Didier Deschamps looked towards those supporters singing Allez Le Bleu, and he clapped his hands a little bit like Mick Jagger does when he's on stage, you know, that little sort of clap like that. And France have got the ball in his own half.
I do get the impression, you know, that Mbappe is happier in this team or this squad without Benzema. As stupid as that sounds, with the talent that he has and his ability, etc. But I just think Mbappe is that little bit happier, and maybe the squad is.
Yeah, and when you've got a happy Mbappe, that spells danger for everyone else. 2 goals in the match. Denmark coming forward though, cross from the left-hand side, and it will be 7 minutes of added time that we'll play in this game. And here's a long ball pumped forward for France. Oh, Mbappe's onto this. He goes for goal as it drops over his shoulder and bounces up, but shoots straight at Schmeichel from the edge of the area.
And look at the reaction of his partner up front. He's screaming at him, thinking, you can pass that to me. He's in the middle of the goal. But no, he's on the hat-trick. He's sitting up nicely for the volley. He just didn't catch it right.
These greedy centre forwards, Alan, I don't know.
Aren't they great, eh?
Yeah.
Should be more of them.
But he had, he was like a sort of...
I'm not passing that either, by the way.
But the way he was going for goal there, it was a little bit like Gaza at Euro 96, wasn't it? But just further out on the edge of the area. But it was the way that the ball dropped over his shoulder just as it bounced up. But
is then the reaction though, John, is that when your teammate's looking at you and you stick your hand up to say, yeah, I know, I'm sorry, you got every right to go for his hat-trick.
Yeah, of course. France 2, Denmark 1. Denmark coming forward, laid off by Brathwaite, a little flick on the edge of the box, but there was no one there in a white shirt. So we're well into time added on now. In the second minute of the 7, England-South Africa is underway. And if you've just switched on to us on 5 Live, more very soon on the sad news that has just been announced this afternoon, the sad death of Dodi Weah. So more on that coming shortly. The latest Danish change, Christensen, goes off, and it is their number 26, Alexander Barr, who comes on from Benfica, the right back. So that's a straight swap, his first taste of action at this World Cup. So Mark Chapman will be picking up very shortly as we also build up to Argentina against Mexico, the big match tonight. And France making the change. It's Griezmann who's coming off. He's had a good night, Alan Shearer.
Very, very good. Great quality on the ball. When he's got the ball at his feet, left foot, right, his ability to pick a pass and the way to pass has been sensational. And every opportunity, him more than anyone, when he's got the chance to put the ball in the box, he has done that.
So Youssouf Fofana is on for what is only his 4th cap for the 23-year-old, as I say, from Monaco. The number 13 that he is. So deep in added time, Denmark straining to see if they can find this second equaliser in the match. This is going to leave Denmark on just 1 point after 2 matches, and France will be through to the last 16. The defending champions have not fared well at recent World Cups, but France will be through with a match to spare, and you know what that means. And actually, you know, it's a fair point for Tunisia. I'm sure Didier Deschamps will make a number of changes, certainly with the World Cup being played here in the desert. However, all you have to do is look at some of the talent that is on the bench who would be coming into the team, and also playing for places in the knockout stages of the World Cup. Maybe it won't make it any easier for Tunisia.
Well, we've spoken about the injuries in the French squad that we had before the tournament and, of course, leading up to the tournament. But when you've got Mbappe in your team, you have got a real live chance of being successful in this competition. He's that good.
2-1 France lead. We'll round up the main stories in the FA Cup as well for you. Dagenham and Redbridge against Gillingham currently being played, but the ball on the right hand side with Denmark, and now Eriksson inside the box. It's taken on by Barr on the right hand side into the penalty area, but Rabiot was there as that final line of defence. Volleys it downfield. It's not Mbappe who's chasing it this time, it's Thuram, but Mbappe has set off and he is sprinting now into the D on the edge of the penalty area, but Dembele doesn't try and find him. He just takes the ball towards the corner of the penalty area, beats 2 men, plays it back to Mbappe on the edge of the box, who is on his back foot actually, and that meant that Mela could put in the challenge. Still France with it. Coleman on the right hand side comes back.
Thuram didn't know whether to run into the corner and keep the ball or actually attack the goal. I think Deschamps wanted him to protect the ball and go into the corner with only a couple of minutes left.
But the speed of that run from Mbappe through the middle, off the ball, I mean, he was greased lightning. France with Tchouaméni just keeping possession. But Coleman now turns and he sets off towards the penalty area. Step over there, pulls it across, stretching away from Nelson. And he was fortunate there in that he was off balance, but he was able to find a teammate, and Denmark clear to the halfway line.
Deschamps' substitution has worked, you know, and Coleman on that right-hand side. Dembele was looking a little bit tired, so he takes him off and puts Coleman on the other side. We've just had that added bit of pace back into the game, and it's worked perfectly.
Yeah, and Denmark concede a free kick just in front of Kasper Hjulmand, who, incredibly, he's put a jacket on. Kasper Hjulmand. Well, but they do say, don't they, down at pitch level, it can be quite chilly with the all of those vents around the ground, so he's obviously feeling it down there. But France are nearly there into the last 16. And who would bet against them? Even with all of the big name absentees going a long, long way, the defending champions at this World Cup, trying to become the first team since Brazil to successfully defend the World Cup. That was back in 1962, winners in 58 and 62. So 60 years since any team has lifted 2 consecutive World Cup trophies. Ball for Denmark, played forward to the edge of the box, and it has to be headed away by Theo Hernandez, and he does so, and it's out of play. We've had some very, very late goals at this World Cup, so we're not ruling anything out. Alexander Barr is going to take this, and he's actually walked and back right up against the advertising hoardings. Lots of white shirts in the French penalty area. This might be their last chance. We're in the 7th minute of added time. Long throw from Barr. Nelson tried to flick it on. It comes out for the shot from Mela, the left wing back. He snatched at it, bounced up the waist height, and he's got right underneath it and ballooned it over the top of the crossbar.
He's done France a right favour there, hasn't he? I can't believe he's attempted that from that far out. It just needed to be helped back into the box to keep the pressure on France, but he's put it 20-30 yards over the bar. Thanks very much, Lloris says. And
it was a real floater as well. I think it came down just above that Danish flag that says what looks to us as Spenge, but I guess is Spenge in Denmark.